Never in my life have I seen such a brutal self-own. Literally, how do you let this happen? So there is a Fox host named Will Cain. I'm sure you've seen him around. I'm sure he's close to being the next Secretary of Defense now that they're looking to replace Pete Hegseth. But Democratic Congressman Maxwell Frost, the youngest congressman, he's Gen Z, he's a friend of the show, he went on Fox News while he's in El Salvador. I mean, look at him. He's sweating his ass off. He's in El Salvador to go meet with Abrego Garcia and to be an interlocutor for the Democrats on Fox News. He's doing an amazing job. He began to talk about how Trump has a plan to deport homegrown American citizens. He calls them, quote unquote, homegrowns, people who grew up and committed a bunch of crime, and now that Trump wants to deport, it's insane. It's all incredibly insane, illegal, and unconstitutional, but that doesn't stop Trump in the past. So Representative Frost calls that out on Fox News. Then Will Cain proceeds to say, Trump has never said that. You can't demonstrate anywhere that Trump said anything of that sort. Then 30 minutes later, on Will Cain's show, he's forced to say that Trump actually did call to get homegrown criminals out. Let me take you through this whole story. And just my main takeaway is, dude, you cover politics for a living, and you haven't seen the clip of the President of the United States talking about deporting U.S. citizens? What are we doing here? I really don't understand it. Make sure you drop a like. Make sure you subscribe to help us beat Fox News. I mean, look at this chart right here. Out of the fastest growing YouTube channels, the Mockler channel is beating Charlie Kirk, Tucker Carlson, Benny Johnson, but Fox News is currently beating all of us in terms of month-over-month subscriber growth. So make sure you subscribe to help me out. And listen to Jesse Waters getting fact-checked first.
First, you said this guy was picked up because he had a Bulls hat. And then he has tattoos on his hand that spell MS-13.
That's not true.
Yes, it is. Read the symbolism, Jessica. What are you, a gang detective? Cut it out.
This is absolutely unbearable. Trump posted a photoshopped picture that I'm not even going to show on screen. I don't even want to give it any airtime. And this photoshopped picture is now being repeated by Fox News hosts. Watch Representative Frost talking about the same situation from San Salvador.
Want to happen, but that's not what's going on. And you want to talk about courts. Wait, hold on. You want to talk about courts, but the highest court in the land told Donald Trump what to do: facilitate him coming back to the country. And guess what they did? They flipped the bird to the Supreme Court. That's not the rule of law.
That is the opposite of the rule of law, and Republicans are gaslighting about this. They're saying that Democrats don't care about the rule of law whatsoever, yet Trump is the one defying the Supreme Court. Always remember that. It's not even about Abrego Garcia. I mean, it is. That is a scary, sad situation. Of course, it's about Garcia, but even if you remove the specific names, once you create a new class of people that don't have due process, you can put anyone in that class, no matter what their name is, no matter who they are. So while, yes, it is about Abrego Garcia, it's bigger than that as well. Molly Jong Fast said, in Will Cain's defense, he is auditioning for defense secretary. I made the same joke. I made that same joke. Now we have Representative Frost continuing to own Will Cain.
He had a protected status, as you just read. And if he is to be detained and deported, there's a process he needs to go through. And that's the whole situation here. I'm not here to litigate even a very specific person. I'm here to talk about the fact that he represents a very big problem with this administration, that they have no problem scooping somebody up based on tattoos and vibes and sending them to a foreign country's prison. And then we have the commander talking about sending homegrowns next. And
okay, now here's where it all breaks out. And by the way, Representative Frost made the same point that I made. It's not even just about Abrego Garcia. There is a broader discussion to be had about due process and about habeas petitions, or lack thereof nowadays. Now, here's where it happens. Will Cain attempts to fact check Representative Frost and gets fact checked himself. Just watch this first clip. Make sure you drop a like to help boost Representative Frost's message. Take a look.
And draw the line here at Kilmar Garcia, because it's not just about him. It's about the fact that in the Oval Office, Donald Trump brought up that he wants to do the same thing to quote unquote homegrowns. Homegrowns being U.S. citizens, a complete violation of our Constitution. I don't want to wait till it gets to that point. The reason I'm here as a congressman representing Orlando, Florida, is because I've received hundreds and hundreds of calls and emails and mail from my constituents. I represent a lot of immigrants. I represent a lot of people who see themselves represented in this situation.
He's doing great here, but here's where it starts.
See themselves represented in this situation. They're saying, Congressman, do what you can now, because it's him today and it can be one of us tomorrow.
I want to dig in on that point. You've made that point several times. But before we move forward, I have to stop down with what you just said. Donald Trump's made a statement about wanting to deport American citizens. Do you have that in front of you? I've not seen that statement. Can you please quote where that comes from, that he would like to deport American citizens?
He said it in the Oval Office. He said he wants to go for homegrowns next, people born and raised in the United States. Citizens.
Do you have anything?
And then
do you have anything besides your word on that? I have not seen that. So beyond your word, do you have the source of that? I would love to see that clip or that transcript of him saying he wants to deport American citizens.
There is a clip online. I encourage people to just Google Donald Trump homegrown, deporting homegrown criminals. It is something he said in the Oval Office.
Well, you understand how television works. We have these fancy earpieces. I like to get very few instructions from my staff while you and I have a conversation. But we are in search of that clip as we speak. So as you and I have this conversation for the next several minutes, we'll be looking for that clip. But let's.
What a smug asshole. So then after Representative Frost leaves the show, then they eventually end up finding the clip.
I'd like to go a step further. I mean, I said it to Pam. I don't know what the laws are. We always have to obey the laws, but we also have homegrown criminals that push people into subways, that hit elderly ladies on the back of the head with a baseball bat when they're not looking, that are absolute monsters. I'd like to include them in the group of people to get them out of the country.
And he goes on right after that to say, but we have to obey the law. It will always be to obey the law.
Oh, my Lord. But then he goes on after that to say that he takes everything back because we have to do it legally. Come on, Will Kane.
On right after that to say, but we have to obey the law. It will always be to obey the law. After years of very fine people, among other hoaxes, I'm suspicious of any Democrat quoting President Trump in full context. And I make no apologies. None.
You make no apologies? Dude, you're wrong.
On not being able to know or recall that specific clip because
it happened 2 days ago.
It doesn't reinforce my fever dream Handmaid's Tale vision of America, where Lily, who reads The Bulwark on the Upper West Side, is about to be deported right after Kilmar Abrego Garcia. President Donald Trump was clearly talking about obeying the law. I'm doubtful the law would allow him to deport homegrown criminals.
What in the hell? President Trump said he wants to obey the law. So the fact that he's floated the idea of shooting people in the back of the head 50 times does not mean that he wants to break the law. Like, what are we doing here, dude?
But it's a far cry again from the Handmaid's Tale vision of the next after Abrego Garcia.
What Handmaid's Tale vision, dude? Abrego Garcia was a Maryland father with zero criminal record, either in El Salvador or America, and he got deported wrongfully, illegally. Then the administration admitted that he was deported wrongfully and illegally. Then after he was in El Salvador, the Trump admin played this weird game of cat and mouse and said, hey, sorry, we can't bring you back. So it is kind of scary that the Trump admin is slowly eroding away due process, not to mention the amount of U.S. citizens that are just brown, that have gotten thrown in the back of vans and driven around for 4 hours before released because this administration, they're acting like thugs, genuinely acting like thugs. And I'm going to leave it at that. Make sure you drop a like. Make sure you scroll down and hit subscribe to join the resistance. We are currently one of the fastest growing political channels on YouTube because of you all. So thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.